Hey guys, this is Jensen, and in today's story time, I'm going to be talking about the time that I almost got arrested for a crime that I didn't do. So, this is a story about me being blamed for breaking into people's cars, and the cops actually showed up. So, this takes place around a week ago, so it's actually pretty recent, and I just wanted to tell her right now. Didn't want to wait. This is just the story that I wanted to get out right now. So, pretty much how this starts. It's just a normal night, and I'm walking in the back of my apartment complex. So there's this back area, and this area isn't I wasn't trespassing or anything. It's literally just an open land uh, in the back of my apartment complex. And the reason why I check it out is because there's this homeless fort with all of this stuff just piled up in a tree pretty much. So I'd check that out sometimes, and it's honestly pretty scary because I would go in with a flashlight hoping no one was there. And I've never actually seen someone there. I was checking that out, walking around for 10 or 20 minutes, and then I hopped the wall. And I should have just walked back instead of hopping the wall because that looks really sketchy and it looks like you're just doing something wrong. Like hopping a wall into a complex from the back just looks like you're about to rob or breaking in or something like that. So that was probably my fault. And the second thing, which is for sure my fault, but still, I'm not saying any of this is my fault because I shouldn't have been blamed for something I didn't do. But I stayed at the wall for around 5 minutes just because I was tired. So I was just standing there, and I guess this guy came out of his apartment because he was getting his car robbed, and a bunch of other cars in the complex were getting robbed, and this was happening in the past few days. So it wasn't just that day. So I guess he was looking for someone that might be the person stealing. So he's just looking, seeing if he sees anyone doing anything sketchy. And I guess that looked sketchy to him because hopped over a wall and I was just standing right at the wall of the back of the complex. So he called the cops on me. And I didn't know this till I was walking back home. I walked right past him, and as I was walking past him, he told me to come to him. And then he was like, "What were you doing back there?" Um, like, and then I'm like, I was just checking it out, and he's like, "This is private property." I'm like, "Yeah, but I live here." He's like, "Still, you can't be back there." And I called the police on you, and I'm like, "What? Why?" I was just thinking in my head. Obviously, I didn't say this out loud, but I'm like, "Why would he call the police on me for just hopping a wall?" But then he goes on to say that he thinks that I'm breaking into the cars, or he says he thought I was, but once I came close to him, he just, by how I look, because he was probably expecting some homeless man or not someone my age. He was probably expecting someone in their 40s that looked, that was homeless or something like that. But after looking at me, he said he didn't think I was doing it, but he was still having the cops come to me. So he didn't turn around and just say, call the cops and say, "Oh, don't come." So he still had the cops come, and instead of walking back home, because I could have, I wanted to stay there so I wouldn't be. I guess this isn't too good of an idea, but at the same time, it's a good idea because I still could have been kept for a long time, but I just wanted to stay there just to prove that I wasn't doing anything because I thought if I walked back, he would just be suspicious, and then if I ever saw him in the complex, he might call the cops again. So I just stayed there, and about 5 minutes later, the cops are showing up. But I realized that I left something over the wall, so I actually hopped over when the cops showed up, which looked totally sketchy. I had no idea the cops were gonna come that quick. It had just been 3 minutes, and it's not I don't know. So I hop over it, and then I hop back, and then I just see a police car pulled up, and I walk like I'm just walking back and they start following me. So then I stop and I talk to them, and the police officer is like, "Hey, were you just trying to hop the wall to escape or something?" So this police literally thought that I was a person who broke into people's cars because I hopped the wall. I mean, it looked pretty sketchy. As soon as they showed up, I just hopped the wall, but it wasn't intentional at all. So then I told him, I'm like, no, I was just getting something that I forgot. And he asks me questions, and I just, answer them. They're just questions about, like, if I've seen anyone stealing or if I'm the one stealing. And after that, they just let me go. So this was actually a pretty lucky experience because I feel like most of the time, if you get the cops called on you for stealing, they'll keep you for longer because they're not just gonna, like, cops don't always just take your word because obviously you're gonna lie at first if you are the person who did it. Like, you'll probably lie, but he let me go after like a couple minutes. Didn't keep me. Like, I could have got handcuffed. I don't think I would have gotten arrested, but I could have gotten I could have had to like stay there. And then as I'm like walking back towards my apartment, I see like three more cop cars just drive into the complex. So I'm pretty freaked out because I'm like, why are they still coming? But I guess they're just doing a full on investigation of who the thief was. And this actually continued all night because at around like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I could still hear like cop cars coming in and like a bunch of noise. So I don't know. They probably found the person, but I'm not too sure. Hopefully, I don't get suspected of a crime that I didn't do again. But from this, I guess just learn um, don't don't do sketchy things like that because hopping a wall into it, like if you're gonna go explore like a back of a houses or an apartment complex, don't hop the wall back. Just walk back to where you came from because someone might call the cops on you if you're coming from the back wall. It just looks really sketchy. So don't do anything like that. And also just don't steal. I mean, I didn't steal in this situation, but never steal from people's cars or rob anyone. Just never good to do. And before I end this off, I just wanted to say, like, the next morning, I went to my friend's house. I'm not going to put any names out because I don't want to get them in trouble. But I go to his house and he's like, yo, yesterday I went with a couple friends and we robbed some cars. And I'm like, what? I'm just thinking, like, what? And then I explained to him, I'm like, wait, so did you go to my complex? And then he's like, no, I went to a different area. But then I explained to him that I was kept by the cops for a little bit because they suspected me of stealing things from people's cars. But he actually got like a Gucci bag, speaker. Um, he got a lot of stuff, so it's pretty tempting. But obviously, I'm never gonna do anything like that. But that's pretty much it for this story time. Thanks for watching, and peace.